Good morning, this is Bob, about to know Pennystocking 100 to 1000. Welcome back to the series where we take a fresh account on Webull, starting with just $100 and show you the journey it takes to grow that $100 into $1,000 over time. And we're back. Today is July 15th, 2019. Markets are green. And we have a special lesson for you guys here today. I'm going to show a couple things about this lesson today. So what we got in today was FCEL. We've been playing this stock, in and out, back and forth. It's been having nice days here and there. So we always like to keep plays like this in our on our. So you see, I've been in this trade many times, maybe three times. So, but the trade we got in was FCEL today. It's 6.15 in the pre-market at 56 cents a share. We bought 289 shares, and we sold it at 7.13. So about an hour later at roughly 64 cents a share. So a 14% win on that one. And let's get into the charting. So the top for this was actually 65 cents. So we pretty much got near the top. The reason why I sold it when I did is because if this chart can pop up right now, I can show you. So looking back from Friday's chart, you can see it hit around the 80s that day on Friday, settled in the 70s, and then on the after hours it had plummeted very hard to 33 cents was the low. Within that same after hours on Friday, it actually rebounded a little bit, got dip bought a little bit to about 55 cents roughly. So about 56 cents, something like that, 55 cents. So it pretty much held this up pretty well. You have to remember, after the stock dropped from a couple things, you have to remember, after the stock had dropped hard from the 70 cents all the way down to 30 cents, so about a 50% downward move, it rebounded about halfway. Now, I used to get into things like Fibonacci levels and things like that back in the day. This is not really my thing anymore, but even if you just think about basic retracement without having to think about those levels, it retraced about half of that move back already. This stock was pretty much done. It was done for. If you didn't get in here in the 30 cents when it dropped and play the rebound back to the 50s, it was probably too late. The only reason I got in on this actually on Monday in the pre-market, because I would have left this alone, honestly. After it made this move up here, you have to remember it's made like a maybe 80% move up from the lows up to the 56 area. It's already made a good move back up to retrace. It does not have to go. It does not have to ever come back up to the 70s. It does not have to retrace the move 100%, right? It does not have to completely fill that gap. A lot of people think that it has to completely fill that gap. It does not. This was actually a really good move back up, retracing about halfway of the move. So you have to realize that was a pretty good move there. So if you missed that part, which I did on Friday, that's fine. You don't have to get in. Now, the reason I got in around here when it was consolidating in the 55 area, 56 area on Monday, catalyst. So this was the catalyst. I don't even know what this means. Fuel Cell Energy announces sub MW solution for a European market. I don't really know what that means. Some type of a solution for some problem going on, but that does not solve the company's issue. I didn't even really care to read the story, as you can tell. I just knew it was some type of news. People go crazy for any type of news in the pre-market. Any type of decent news in the pre-market, right? So it's taking a while to load up. It doesn't even matter. I don't really care what the news is. It's just some decent type of news. But when I'm looking for news, actually, what I want to see is a couple things. Contract winners are really good for pre-market plays. That's kind of like my number one. Contract winners. I'm not big on earnings winners, but earnings winners are okay. But I'm looking for like contract plays or buyouts, sometimes mergers, things like that. Something that has really good relevance. Settling a little bit of debt is not really a great news catalyst. Restructuring plans are not really financial restructuring. They're not really great news stories either to me. So basically, like contract winners and buyouts and mergers, things like that, are really good stories. So that's what I'm really looking for. And looking for really big moves. But either way, this was like the only news story, like one of the only few news stories coming in about 7 o'clock or around 6 o'clock. So I decided this might be a decent play. Now I knew this was already pretty much done. Like I said, it already made a good move, retracing back up to the 50s, and that's fine. Worst case scenario is it dropped back down to about the the low 50s, below 50. I would have cut my losses. That would have sucked. I would have lost maybe 10%, 15%, or something like that, maybe, if I didn't have the discipline. But like I said, the only reason I got in was because they had some form of news. Okay, so had this move back up. I didn't expect it to go all the way back to the 70s. It would have been nice if it did retrace the move 100%, but I just did not expect it. The float is not that small. 27 million in the float. It traded 43 million today, so looking for a small float if you want to see a decent move, even on like fluff news, garbage news like that. Small floats can still push it up quite a bit, but this was not really great for this type of situation. So I saw this move up. My initial plan was to 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock is where most of the traders come in. TD Ameritrade traders, things like that come in. The big boys come in basically about 7 o'clock. So I was in here around the 6 o'clock area. So around here in this consolidation area, I was pretty much waiting to see if there was going to have a nice big spike from the 7 o'clock run. Got a small bit of that here, but when it did not show the kind of movement that I wanted to see, like I wanted to see it really explode, right out the gate, explode. It didn't really do that. It had a decent move, but then it just kind of, stayed around here and held up here for a little while. You can see the high here was 63.96. It was actually 65. I don't know why this chart doesn't actually show accurate pricing, but it actually came up to about 65. Like I said, we got out at 63.99, so roughly 64 cents, which was basically the top. And then from there, it just kind of did nothing. And even you could wait for like the Robin Hooders at 9 o'clock, but they didn't really push it up either. You can see it dropped. So I'm really liking to look forward to like that 7 o'clock push is what I normally do. Like I said, when I did not see that 7 o'clock strong push, I went ahead and locked in at 64 cents a share, which is about 14% gain. I'm happy with that. That's good enough, right? That's good enough. That was best case scenario anyway. I didn't expect too much out of this. Remember I said, when these things drop this hard like this, they do not have to completely fill the gap. I don't know why people have it in their head so much that it just has to complete gap fill. That's not the case, right? This was very, very best case scenario right here, refilling half the move or more than half the move back up. This does not always happen. We're lucky this happened. Like I said, there was some form of news catalyst. That's the only reason it really held that up. In my honest opinion, if the news catalyst did not come in, and it was in the 50 cents here from the after hours on Friday. If the news catalyst did not come in Monday, I'm pretty sure this would drop right back down to the 30s, maybe even below the 30s. It would just completely went massively red on the day without a news story. And even beyond that, follow-up news the same day they are warning of bankruptcy. They're having a lot of short-term debt right now, so they're warning of bankruptcy. This stock is pretty much going to go bankrupt pretty soon. That's not to say that the stock is completely finished, it's done, or anything like that. This is still a past runner. There still can be a lot of pump and dump plays around this. I'll still keep it on watch. Always like to keep former runners on watch just in case. You never know. So, but what I think is going to happen now is, you see it went down to the 30 cents area, and that's fine. That was the lows for the day. You got to 36. After hours, it bounced back up a little bit. You can see it went up 12% in the after hours to the 40 cents area. Now, this area is not like completely solid in terms of support. Honestly, it's not even really support, to be honest with you. It's not really support. So take from that what you will. So this really does not have any defined support around this area, to be honest. So don't try to assume that this is going to be like support. It's going to hold the 40s now. Watch it push back up to the 50s and maybe back up to the 60s. I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. It's possible, but I honestly doubt it. I think this is going to continue down further. Realistically, I think this is going to continue down a lot further. Probably back to the 20s. Maybe the teens if it really has a bad week. or any follow-up negative news stories, maybe back to the teens, but I really think it's on maybe the 20s is where it's going to settle in for the short term, is what I'm thinking. So we'll leave this one alone for now. We made our money on it. We'll leave it alone from now. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, my thought process and what I do when I'm making these trades and how I end up, selling around the tops. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know what I was thinking and what I think about it for the future. So, like I said, I'm not really sold on this being huge as far as rebounding back. I think today was its rebound back in the pre-market. So if you weren't participating in that move, you probably just lost out. So just trade it carefully. So that was that. And I have another day trade on Wednesday and Friday, so we'll see what happens then. And until then, we just encourage you all to stay motivated, stay inspired, study hard, and eventually penny stocks will reward you. Thank you.